What's up, everybody? It's Trystan, MCA here, and today we're going to be going over session 4 of Ignite, Define Your Value. Hopefully, you were able to catch sessions 1, 2, and 3. That I know Bo, Steven, and Lexi spent some time going over that, and that was and today. This is going to be the last part of part 1 of being a real estate expert. Tomorrow, arguably one of the best sessions. That's going to be Dustin Warren teaching lead generation. You definitely want to be here for that one. Otherwise, let's go ahead and jump in. There are going to be a couple of places where we're prompted to do some group work or some group think. I'm probably just going to skip through that because it's recording, but feel free to jot down some notes or do some brainstorming during those times. We'll get started. Okay, so in session 1, we mentioned that at the end of our first segment, real estate agent of choice, we would conclude with an action plan. That plan is to design your value proposition. So in today's session, we will discuss what a value proposition is and the benefits of having one. We'll also discuss how to define your own value proposition by uncovering what makes you uniquely qualified to meet your customers' needs. Knowing this, you'll create your value proposition, practice it, and begin to use it in conversations with potential clients. Before we begin, we can go over some of the success systems. So if you're familiar with them, this would be a time we discuss success systems. I'm going to go and skip through this part. Okay, so to briefly cover the agenda, by the end of the day today, you will be equipped to define the meaning of value propositions, describe what buyers and sellers value the most in their real estate experience, and explain the benefits of creating a personalized value proposition. To start thinking about what you will learn today, let's just consider some questions. We don't have any because it's not a group, but if you do, just shoot me offline. I'd love to collaborate or just hear your thoughts on value propositions. Okay, we'll start our session today by learning what the value proposition is and discussing the benefits of defining your value. So, knowing what skills and strengths you bring to the table will give you the confidence in running and growing your business. Therefore, it's important to know how to express your value when interacting with your clients and potential clients. To express your value, let's talk more about just the value piece. Your value proposition, and we've got 4 points here, is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you. Very similar to a business slogan, clear, concise is what you're looking for. Number 2, addresses specific and special needs of the buyers and sellers in your market. So obviously very important to stay up to date and be able to give important and relevant data to your client. We just don't want to overwhelm them with either too much data or irrelevant data to where they're not actually looking at the stuff you're sending them. Want to stay top of mind, but we want it to be important and tailored to them. Number 3, states what you will do for your client to earn your commission and fee. This is something that historically I don't think we've been fantastic with as an industry. It's no secret that we do a ton of work on the real estate side for our clients, but are we communicating everything we're doing? Because so much of it is behind the scenes and they might not be knowing that we're doing that. And then number 4, holds you accountable to high standards. Again, if you explain, hey, client or Mr. or Mrs. Buyer Seller, here's what I'm going to do. Well, now you put that out there. You have to fulfill that. Otherwise, they're going to ask about it or you're not completing your value proposition. Just remember that one of our beliefs in the Y4C2Ts at Keller Williams is commitment in all things. Your value proposition ultimately is a promise to fulfill your client's needs. Again, so let me flip the slide. If we were to look at some other, and there's a little brainstorm here just to talk about what are some other examples the value proposition can align with the Y4C2Ts. And if you're not familiar with that, our Y4C2Cs are win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing. We've got customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, creativity, teamwork, equity, success. Those are just kind of the pillars that we have at Keller Williams and can hang on when it comes to culture. So to look at a quote from the MREA about the value proposition, top agents can easily explain what services they will provide to anyone who hires them. And I love to ask this I love to ask this question. And typically I get 2 very different answers, and it has to do with commission. I always say, what do you charge for your commission and why? And so, I have a mix. I'm pretty much a 50-50. Here's what my commission is that I charge, and here's everything my client can expect and will get throughout the transaction. Historically, on the other side, if you're not clear on your value proposition, it's going to be, I charge X, Y, and Z because that's just kind of what I've heard other people charging, and they get me as an agent, but it's not necessarily lined out, explained. And so the goal of today is to iron that out, be very, very clear on here's the value, here's the price, this is why you need to work with me. Okay. So the benefits of a value proposition. Having a value proposition benefits your business in these three ways. It helps your clients understand your value and expertise. Not everyone knows why they need to hire a real estate agent. Sharing your value proposition with your potential clients provides them opportunity to see how working with you can make the real estate experience better. Number two, it protects your commission and fees, your commission or fee. Your value proposition helps you stand out from the competition and helps your clients understand what they're paying for when you have a really strong one. Number three, it builds strong and trusting relationships. Your value proposition is your promise to your client. By keeping your word when working with your client, you can earn their trust. Clients who trust you are more likely to hire you again in the future and refer you to friends and family. We love referrals in this industry. You're going to hear about referrals, how to get them, how to keep them in later sessions. So just looking at some example value propositions here. These are all brands that most are familiar with: Airbnb, Grammarly, Walmart, QuickBooks, Slack, State Farm. And so if we just look at them, you can kind of see delivering something that's well-known, it's quick, it's concise, it's clear. That's what we want. You'll notice all of these are about one sentence. So again, when you're creating your value proposition, you'll see a lot of teams or individual agents that have like a slogan almost. And it's like, here it is. That's what we're looking for. We don't really want to expand and have like a paragraph as to what we're doing, because that's when you get into it and explain it to people. You want something that's memorable. It explains you and your value, and so that's here's some examples of it. I'll give you a second to look at this, and then we'll go to the next slide. Now, do notice as well, these are very client-centered language. Some of them will pose a challenge along with its solution, so it kind of puts both of them right in front of the client. And it either indirectly or directly states why you're different than other competitions. So you can kind of, you could be more creative in that sense as well. So we're going to talk about connecting you to the value. So far in Ignite, we've talked about discussing your value and how it's enhanced by being a part of Keller Williams, what it means to be a fiduciary for your clients, and the importance of being a market expert. Now let's connect these with what you've learned so far to your value proposition. So the first one, how does being a part of Keller Williams family bolster your personal value proposition? Well, being an agent with Keller Williams means you have access to command, which allows you to streamline an entire real estate transaction, thus providing a seamless experience to your clients. That's one example. I think the next slide's going to give some more. I'll give a couple of examples, and then we'll go to the next slide too. For the second one, how does your value proposition relate to serving as a fiduciary for your clients? Well, being a fiduciary for your clients means that you place their best interests above anything else. While serving as a fiduciary, you simultaneously raise your level of service and the value you provide to your clients, which is what exemplifies your value proposition. And the last one, how does being a market expert add to your value proposition? When you have your finger on the pulse of the market, the knowledge you glean and share with your clients is part of your value proposition. This is because whatever you learn will help you in guiding your clients to make the best decisions. Obviously, it's very important when you meet with the client to have a great grasp of the market, but also have a really good grasp of the trajectory or the direction the market's trending, whether it's more maybe favorable in their direction or maybe it's not, and time becomes of the essence. So definitely important there. We go to the next slide. Obviously, some other things to consider. Being a part of KW, super important because you have access to collective knowledge and experience of nearly 200,000 agents worldwide. KW, the largest franchise with the largest footprint of real estate in the world. We have by long the largest referral network. So that talks about that. Fiduciary, I can point you to reputable sources for service providers such as handyman, window washers, tax associates, and financial advisors. There are a lot of agents, and there actually is a Ignite session that's going to talk about kind of getting your bench of preferred services and real estate ancillary businesses, just so that as you become the market expert of choice or just a great consultant to your clients, you have that bench and can provide that resource to them so you keep becoming a greater resource to your clients. And then the last, market expert, I can help you price your home to sell because I'm very in tune with the market at the moment. Again, super important to being in tune with the market. And if I had to give a couple of extra things as well, being bilingual is a great piece of your value proposition. I usually say if you have some sort of familiarity with numbers, it definitely helps when explaining the numbers, the pricing game, the net seller sheet to clients if they're not super analytical in that sense. Just being able to communicate that clearly to them. I'm flipping there. Okay, so we're going to skip that one because it's just me on the call. But that's going to lead us to our segue to the second part, what matters to buyers and sellers. So an important aspect of defining your value proposition is just understanding what matters to them so you know how to best position yourself. So understanding what buyers and sellers want out of their real estate experience, it's not super complex, yet it does require you to know the purpose of real estate. The purpose of real estate is different for buyers and sellers. If we look at the MREA, Gary explains, for buyers, their goal is to find just the right home at the best price in the right time with the least number of problems. That's page 94 if you want to see the quote, but that's what's important to them. Now, if you flip that around, he also says for sellers, their goal is to net the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of problems. You'll notice a theme here. Least amount of problems is what they're looking for. Okay. So what happens to clients in the buying and selling experience if they don't if you don't understand the purpose of buying and selling real estate? Well, you may provide a good service. If it's not usually hitting these aspects for them, you're not maybe as likely to get referrals or get the highest satisfaction out of your clients, because these are really three simple points for each side. And so that's, it's just important to make sure that you're checking these three boxes throughout the process with your client. But if we were to talk about, obviously, the least number of problems, which is important to both sides, sometimes problems will occur, yet with your due diligence, they can either be prevented or minimized. And a lot of it can just work well if you have clear communication with your client, communicating what they're going through, and that there is an easy outcome on the other side. Communication is key. All right. As a real estate agent, what are this is a little bit of the interaction, but I do want to share some thoughts. As a real estate agent, what are some possible challenges you can anticipate for your clients, and how can you prevent and minimize them? So it can be as far as your seller is having second thoughts about selling their home. To prevent and minimize challenges, you can do a CMA, remind them of what their motivation was to move, remind them what their destination is, and just discuss what their options are if they were to start over. Because if they're not wanting to deal with it, starting over is just going to go back through the process again. Some general strategies we can think about to prevent and minimize is just understanding the mindset of your buyers and sellers, communicate often, spend enough time with your clients, handle and closely oversee the contract to close process. Obviously, you don't have to do it, but definitely keep sight on it. Anticipate challenges and take preventative action to avoid them, and then just look for creative solutions. Typically, as long as the client feels like and knows like you're in their corner, even if this isn't super smooth, they're going to think you're really highly for trying and keeping clear communication. Typically. We've got the top 10 service areas of the buyer proposition. So here are the top 10 from the MREA. I'll quickly share that agents provide to buyer, the services agents provide to buyers, and we'll quickly cover these service areas in more detail in the upcoming sessions of Ignite. So here are the top 10. We've got the needs analysis, so just understanding what your client needs in their, this is for buyers, so what the criteria are that they're looking for. Are they pre-qualified or pre-approved? If not, do you have somebody great you can get them connected to? Neighborhood information. If we know what criteria they're looking for, are there certain neighborhoods they're also looking at, or neighborhoods that might fit that criteria? Home search, getting them set up on a great home search. I know that Command and Flex both uniquely can get regular updates about things hitting the market, things changing. Making an offer, making sure that you understand the purchase contract in a way that you can best represent your client and write competitive offers. Obviously, the negotiation stages are some of the most important ones, creating an offer that's competitive with other ones or can eventually beat all the other ones. Vendor coordination, again, maybe not your job, but if you have great vendors in your corner you can recommend, it kind of makes it a one-stop shop where your client could just keep coming to you instead of having to go research all of these things. You can say, hey, I've got a great person who will do this and repair this and appraise this. Pre-close preparation, making sure that you're coordinating effectively with title lenders, things like that. The closing table, obviously very important. You're there for your buyer's big day, buying a home. And then post-close. I know, depending on the agent, some people like to be more involved post-close, maybe check in, stop by the house, closing gift, things like that. That's a great way to build rapport and trust long-term and get those referrals. On the flip side, we've got the seller. You'll see there's a lot of things similar, a couple of things different. Again, it always starts with a needs analysis. Understanding what your client wants and why they want it. It plays a huge role in retention and just getting more clients. On the selling side, they said net more money. So pricing strategy is going to come into it. The preparation needed for the property. How are you going to market it in a way that keeps it very competitive with other prices around? How do you receive an offer, coordinate with the other agent? Are you a great co-op? What do negotiations look like? The eventual sell, and then you can see the last three are the same. Pre-close, closing, and post-close. Very important. Next one, what buyers want from their agents. We've actually collected some data here as to, over the next 4 slides, we're going to look at data. Now, this is from 2021 report from NAR on what matters most to buyers and sellers when they hire an agent. So let's look at what buyers want from a realtor. This graph covers the top responses and categorizes everything else as other that's not already in here. 52% of them want help to find the right home to purchase, which I think that's generally what we think of when we think of a real estate agent, like we're going to help the client buy the right home. That's what 52% want. 13% want help specifically with negotiating the term of sale, whether they need to get more unique in the negotiation so that it fits the parameters of the client's needs or something else like that. And then 11% just straight price negotiation. They want somebody who's going to negotiate on their behalf, and then 24% fall into other buckets. So if we flip that around and look at it, going too far. Here we go. See, I do have a breakdown right here of the other as well. Okay. So in the other category, 8% want help with paperwork, 6% want to determine what comparable homes are selling for, which would be great CMAs. 4% want to determine how much the home buyer can afford, which you can get them, again, connected with a great lender to help with that a little bit better. 3% help find and arrange financing, and again, help find and arrange. So knowing somebody who can get them connected with to make the process easy. 2% want help to teach the buyer more about neighborhood or areas, and then less than 1% want to help renters find properties. So that's kind of generally what I'm seeing on the statistics through NAR. All right. So keep in mind, these are results from buyers being asked to state the one thing that's most important to them. Most buyers need help with paperwork, learning about neighborhoods, yet when asked to give one answer, this is what they said. Likely they're going to fall in multiple ones. This is just the number one thing. So just think about some skills and services you offer that align with what buyers want, and in your participant guide, you can include them as well. All right, so now we're going to look. So I just said when asked most important factor in choosing a real estate agent, you saw the top answers. But this is that on the value side, what clients value. And you can see we've got 3 again, and then it breaks it down into other. So what's really important here, and you can see the number one answer at 20%, number one solo answer, is that the agent is honest and trustworthy. We want to be honest with our clients. To a T, right? Yeah, we don't want to be like brutally honest and be like, this is unrealistic, but work with them because it's a big change in their life, and being honest and trustworthy is super important. Agent experience is 20%. This tells us that there's a good portion out there that value experience, and yet if you're a newer agent, there's a very high value on honesty and trustworthy. So keep that in mind. Number 17%, reputation of the agent's important. You don't necessarily have to be a leader in the local board, but understanding the market so that you are the local professional in the market and understand it is going to be important to the client. And if you have other reviews, which again, a later session we'll talk about how to get that, that's going to be important so that others can speak to your professionalism and knowledge of the market. If I've got some more stats here to break down the other category. 13% say the agent is a friend or a family member. Obviously, hopefully you're getting your sphere of influence and being able to work with them and you stay top of mind. 8% say the agent's knowledge of their neighborhood is important. 6% the agent is a caring personality or a good listener, which I'd say kind of goes back to 20% honest and trustworthy. So a little bit more personal. 6% say the agent is timely with responses. 4% agent seems 100% accessible because of their technology like tablet or smartphone, which is a really interesting stat to me. 1% they're active in their local community or volunteering. 1% agents association with a particular firm like Keller Williams, and then 1% professional designation held by, which would be all the different titles like your BRE and other things like that. So if you resonate with any of these factors, consider including them in your value proposition. Let's practice taking these attributes, putting them into client-centered language, and hopefully you'll get some ideas for when you do craft your own value proposition. So if selecting one of these and rephrasing it may look like Trystan is honest and trustworthy, and you could say you can depend on me to help you make the best. If we took honest and trustworthy, put it in client-centered language, I could say you can depend on me to help you make the best decisions. I will work to serve in your best interests, right? So it's the things we know they want in language that frames us in a good light that they're thinking. So that's important. Now, flipping the other side, we've got sellers. Just like buyers, just understanding what the general population of sellers want is going to be important for building a great value proposition for your sellers. So look at what buyers want. Here's our sellers. 21% help price a home competitively. That's why it's so important to understand the local market and CMAs at a high level. Again, Dustin, who's teaching the session tomorrow, runs one of the best CMA classes I think we've got in the local market and utilizes Flex to do that. If you haven't done that, been to that, or seen the recording, you should definitely drop in for that. The second most, help sellers market home to potential buyers, 20%. Just marketing. How can you have effective and competitive market strategies? Help sell the home within a specific time frame. So you'll see in the top 3 things for seller, we talked about netting the most. That may not always be the case. And right here we see 16%. The time frame becomes super important to them. Again, the needs analysis for your clients, super important so you can understand what's most important to them. Help sellers find ways to fix up home to sell it more. So just give maybe some general tips on what you'll see in the local neighborhood, what's considered above, below grade, and what's average, so you can make sure that it's competitive with other prices in the area. And then we have other in 20%, which I'll break down for you. 12%, they want to help find a buyer for their home. Again, kind of lumps into marketing, but that's what they're looking for as well. 6% want help in negotiating and dealing with buyers. 5% want help with paperwork, inspections, preparing for settlement. Then we see 1% want to help the seller see homes available to purchase, which kind of functions a little bit as representing the buy side, and then 1% wants help creating and posting videos to tour of the home. Okay. So some factors sellers consider when choosing an agent, just like buyers. So when asked the most important factor in choosing a real estate agent, these are the top 3 we get. So on the sell side, the reputation of the agent, 32%. So having a good reputation is going to be important on the sell side. The agent is honest and trustworthy, 19%. If you really think about this and break this down, this makes sense, because if you are a great agent representing the client on the sell side, people are approaching you. So they want somebody who's going to be reputable in the local market, who's friendly and inviting to other agents and potential clients. So something to consider as you're putting yourself out there in the local market. Agent is a friend or family member, 17% on the sell side. And then 44% is in other categories. I'll break that down. The agent's knowledge of the neighborhood is 11% of that. So definitely good. That's about 25% of that big chunk there. The agent is caring personality, good listener, 5%. The agent's commission is 4%. Again, why it's so important to spell out your proposition value and what they're getting when they work with you. Agents association with a particular firm, 4%. Again, we talked about some of the perks of being associated and affiliated with Keller Williams as the largest global real estate brokerage in the world. Agent seems 100% accessible due to technology, 3%, professional designations, 1%. So just a breakdown of some factors sellers are looking for. So if you're a new agent, you may wonder if you'll be at a disadvantage because you're still in the early stages of building your reputation as a real estate expert. However, we encourage you to lean on the powerhouse reputation of Keller Williams as you're getting your start. For example, you can tell potential clients KW has the strongest reputation in our market for helping people with their real estate needs in the fast time frame and with the least number of problems. Now, if you do go look at our market share reports, KW as a franchise usually ranks #1 in Bluegrass Realtors, our local board. Our brokerage, KW Commonwealth, usually ranks in the top 1 to 2 year to date. If you're looking for specific statistics on that, I can get that for you offline, or you can find that on our website under market share reports. So I challenge you to consider it now that we've looked at the trends for what's important to buyers and sellers. What are the difference between what they need and why do you think those differences exist? Obviously, you know when representing them on each side what they're looking for. Just be wary of that when you're meeting with clients. So we're going to take a second to pivot. We're going to go to the technology side. Keller Williams is committed to adding to your value proposition. In today's market, that means investing in technology that propels your business forward. Being a Keller Williams agent means that the essentials you need to start building your brand and nurturing relationships are available to you as a Keller Williams agent. Here are a few features that Command provides to you and for your clients. Smart plans. Track your contacts and leads with customized intelligence and build deeper, more meaningful relationships with your entire sphere. If you've not utilized smart plans, we're running trainings every month talking about how to use them, how to maximize them, and how to create your own that are tailored to you and your clientele. The KW app, an end-to-end consumer app using the power of AI, machine learning, and your expertise to communicate, provide transaction transparency, and remind clients of your value well after they close on out. If you've not utilized your KW app, you should definitely look into it. You've got your own website, you've got your own app. You can customize those and make those as much of a one-stop shop as you'd like. We already go ahead and load a lot of the commonly used data and features in there for you. But if you want help and you want to customize it, please reach out. We'd love to help. Again, agent sites allow contacts to save searches for your home, allow agents to create searches on behalf, and all of that syncs in real time back to Command. So how could you incorporate technology into your value proposition? With innovative technology, you could say, I meet you where you are. We handle most of the transaction through your phone and laptop. It's about convenience for you. And that's assuming your client wants to utilize technology at that level, because I know some do prefer wet signatures. Come to ahas. I'm going to skip over this place. So now we've gone through the value proposition and what matters most to buyers and sellers. So at this point, it's cutting down, just defining what is your value proposition uniquely as an agent. So now we've covered what it is and why we must have one to express. We also covered that buyers and sellers have expressed what's most important to them. These guidelines can help shape the value proposition. So now we're going to do that in designing it. All right. Now that we've learned the basics of it, we're going to talk about how to define your own. There's 3 steps to defining your value proposition. Step 1, identify your knowledge, attitudes, skills, and beliefs that make you qualify to be a great agent. Again, you'll notice some of these are things you probably brought into the industry with you. Attitudes and beliefs typically come with you. Your skills and knowledge you'll develop throughout your time as a real estate agent. Number 2, transform the value you provide and the value of KW and your market center into benefits for your clients. So how can you leverage our national franchise brand in our local office to provide massive amounts of value to your client? And number 3, build your value proposition statement. Again, clear, concise is what we want. Something that's going to stick, but something that's memorable and brings value to the client. We'll go into further detail over the next 3 slides, but you'll also get an opportunity to start defining your value as we go through each step. So your value proposition. Step one of defining your value proposition asks you to identify your knowledge, attitude, skills, beliefs that make you qualify to be a great real estate agent. For your value proposition to resonate in a meaningful way with your clients, it must be aligned with who you are and what your true abilities are. So I had to break this down. What knowledge do I bring to the job? Perhaps you have a degree in accounting, law, finance, or you've worked in construction and you have great knowledge of homes, home building, codes, things like that. What are some things you bring that you can uniquely present to your client? What attitudes you bring to the job? Perhaps you consider yourself caring, confident, committed, honest. All of these are great attributes. And a bonus, and it talks about this in a later night session, when you're getting reviews, not all of it has to be to their experience with you as an agent as much as it's an experience with you as a person. So they can speak to you being a great communicator, you being very professional, very timely. Those are all great factors to have, great attitudes to have. And what skills do you offer? Perhaps you're great with technology, or maybe you're great with offering solutions or learning to use tech and negotiate problem solving. All of these will come in handy when negotiating in a real estate transaction. And what beliefs? Our beliefs are obviously very important to us in KW. Again, we talked about the Y4C2Ts, equity, integrity, win-win, communication, caring. All of those things are super important. You can fill out your participant guide with some of the attributes if you'd like, but I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide. So step two, if we look at step two, transform the value you provide and the value of KW Market Center into benefits for your client. Your value proposition statement expresses the value you provide in language that makes it relevant to your clients. Think about how your knowledge, attitude, skills, and beliefs can be beneficial to your clients. Many of your life experiences can be relevant to real estate. If you don't see it, look at it from another angle. Even if you haven't articulated it to yourself, you've already used your experience to help others in some way. Perhaps you're a teacher or coach. You have experience helping others. How does your personal experience make you especially helpful? How could you use it in the future? When considering how to make the most in real estate, how to make it real estate relevant, think about what buyers and sellers say are the most important factors. Now think through how the value you receive from KW Market Center can be beneficial to your clients. Let's say that the Market Center averages 98.9% of list price. If you don't know the difference between list and sell price, definitely jump into that CMA to dive deeper into that. Again, 98.9% list price. When meeting with potential clients, you can share that statistic with them. However, it does not convey the full scope of your value to your clients. Instead, you can say, you get the best sale price for your home due to my thorough trainings in negotiation. You can also think about services you offer that are made faster, more convenient, and more accurate when you use KW technology, such as Command or the app. So there are two charts in the participant guide. The first one is related to value, and the second one talks about the value from KW Market Center. Take a moment to fill that in, and that's going to help you build your value proposition to your client on the personal and on the business franchise office side. I'm going to go ahead and jump to step 3. Build your value proposition. So now that we move on to step 3, building your value proposition, the strongest value proposition for your client combines the value you offer backed by the value offered by KW and the Market Center. So marrying the two is going to give you the strongest one. Remember, it's not about perfection. The value proposition will most likely change as you learn new skills and gain more experience as an agent. So, if you built your value proposition, you want to share it, you'd like to bounce it off one of us, I'd love to take a look at it. Feel free to share that with me offline or just shoot me an email after. But we're always looking to help build them. Our Market Center has one, our franchise had one. Most of our regional offices and local businesses have one. So it's definitely important, not only for your clients, but just to remind you some days what your mission statement is. Okay, and so this is just to give, if you wanted to give me an evaluation on the course, you can jump in here, scan the code, just leave a review on how I did. If there's any notes you'd like to see in the future around this course, feel free to do that as well. And then it just talks about a couple other things. We've got our KW Cares, which is our nonprofit charitable arm. And so if you're looking to donate, you can do that here. You can also do it on your transactions when you're submitting that in Command. KW Next Gen is it actually goes towards the same similar. It's a non-profitable charitable arm, goes towards investing in, probably around like college to high school age kids, building their future, giving them the clarity on what they want to do, whether it's in or out of real estate. And then there's some role play. Obviously, I'm going to have to skip through this. And then there's some ahas. Again, great job if you got a chance to define your value proposition. But remember that your value proposition is not meant to be a permanent statement. It's meant to evolve with you as you grow in your career and the needs of your clients change. So as you become the local real estate expert of choice, be sure to evaluate the effectiveness of your value proposition, whether it's where you're at, where the market's at, or where it's going, just as necessary. We've got our ahas to achievement. So each day in Ignite, you grow on how you think, feel, act, and implement what you've learned. This is a success system from learning and ahas to moving towards the achievement of your big life. And that's why we're here. So to achieve your big goals. These are some questions I just challenge you to think about after we've talked about kind of what the value proposition is and why it's important. Similar to other Ignite sessions, we go into the success system, whether it's 20-minute role play conversation with partners, 10 minutes preparing call lists, making the calls, very important. But the next session is actually going to get into this at a very high level when we talk about lead generation as well. So be sure to come for that. That's really all I've got. I know your manual's got some things here on the success systems. If you want to work through that today, go ahead and feel free to check that off. If you're looking for an Ignite manual, just stop by Jackie's office. She's got a ton of them in there. They're for purchase in there. You can grab them online. You can print them off yourself, whatever your preference is. And as a reminder, always remain TCPA compliant. If you're not sure who's on the no-call list, we have a login to that, and you can screen your calls through that. But it's very important, especially in a very litigious market like we're in right now, to make sure you're doing your due diligence as an agent to abide by the no-call list. So again, we'll finish off with a quote here. I engage in every conversation in a spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. Constantly remind yourself that as you're working to provide high value proposition to your clients and maintain that relationship long term so that you have repeat and referral clients. Let's see, we got the role play. We're going to skip over that. Prepare the comment. Okay, so this is all the success. Celebrate successes, get help. If you need help with command, again, like I said, our marketing team is very happy to help. You can reach out to Jackie or I know Alexi has dedicated office hours, and even Madison at the front desk can help you with some of the marketing pieces in command. Let me make sure I got all of them. Okay, that's all I have for session 4. Thanks for jumping on and listening to the recording. If there's specific questions that you have about it or you have about real estate that I can help with, I'd love to. My email is just tristanhayes@kw.com. You can reach out anytime. I'll get back to you as fast as I can. And if you're looking for more resources, love to help. Again, thanks for getting on, and good luck out there.